We are going to record. So you'll probably get the little alert on your screen that says we're recording today for the benefit of those who could not make it. We can post it up on our YouTube channel. And then hopefully we can have some more people view that way. We've got a small group today, which we're actually really happy about because it's going to give us some time to really dive into some questions and some good discussion at the end so that we can really kind of customize some of our discussion points based on what everybody is wanting to get more information on. So welcome to Zoom Tips and Tricks Part 2. If we do have a couple more people come in, I will let them in while we are chatting. So this is the second half of the Zoom Tips and Tricks Lunch and Learn that we started back in, oh gosh, I think January now. So this is Part 2. And first, we want to kind of revisit why we're here and what Zoom can do for you. So Zoom, as you've probably started discovering, is a really great platform for connecting virtually with family, friends, and colleagues. There's a bunch of settings that you can personalize to meet your needs. And in addition to helping you connect online and chat with others, there are some really fun features that can enhance your experience. What is PAFC doing to help in this regard? We are looking at ways to help community members stay connected in a virtual world. We know that all of these virtual connection opportunities are going to continue to be used frequently, even as we are kind of shifting out of COVID and getting back to face-to-face interactions. So we want to help people still stay connected virtually, since it's going to be a popular platform. We are supporting community members by providing a team of tech buddies who can help people with using different devices and tools to stay connected. And we are creating opportunities for all of this great information to be shared with community members in a forum where your questions can be answered. So we really want to make sure these lunch and learn experiences are tailored to your needs and your desires when it comes to the information that we're providing. We have the wonderful Yvonne Hanning with us again today. Yvonne has hosted a few lunch and learns with us. She is becoming a pro at hosting our lunch and learns. Sorry to put you on the spot, Yvonne, but it's true. We're so lucky to have her and all of her great background. So let's start diving in with some new tips and tricks today. We're going to start off with some of the things that might be a little bit easier. And then we're going to get into some of the features that might be a little bit more complex. So the first thing that we wanted to review today, because we didn't get a bunch of time to go into it last time, is how you might send links to information using the chat feature. So last time we found the chat feature, but we didn't really practice using it to send links to each other with information that we might want to share. So Yvonne's going to give us an example of how we can use the chat feature to share a link. And then I think we can all practice using that chat feature to share a link with some relevant information. And one thing that you'll notice when you're sharing that Yvonne will also go over is you can choose when you're sending a link to somebody in the chat to just choose it to just send it to maybe one person or to send it to the entire group. So that's kind of a cool feature as well. So Yvonne, go ahead and take it away and give us an example.
Okay, so for the chat feature, you just simply go to the chat square, and it's usually at the, depending if you're on an iPad, it might be at the top of the screen, and then at the bottom of the screen if you're on a desktop or a laptop. And you can, so you just click on the chat. It says chat, and there's a little speech bubble. And then it gives you an option to chat with everyone if you're just sending out a general link. Like if I would send out my studio link, it would come up like that, and you could just click on that and be able to, you probably don't want to go out of the room right now, but that would give you a chance to use that. If you wanted to send a note just to one person, there's a little arrow, and so you could say, just send a note to one person, and then they would get it. And then usually they'll do something like look at you on the screen or wave to you or something. And so that's a way that you can do that. So you can practice just by sending, in this one, a note to everyone or a note to one person.
Okay, I'm going to try to send everyone a link to the PAFC website. So let's see if everyone
Good
gets
idea.
this. And everyone can click on that and bookmark it. It should be at the top of your bookmarks. It's your very favorite website in the world.
There you go.
And then we can also practice sending some to individuals.
So it just lets you, when you're in a meeting, it's nice to be able to do that. Like, oh, don't forget to talk about this, or any kind of as Carrie said, to have those information links. Like, you can find more about the Partnership for Age-Friendly Communities here at this website, or Tech Buddies here, so all of that. So that's handy.
Yeah, that's really handy, especially if you're talking about something and there are other documents that help kind of support that. It's helpful to just be able to pop them right in the chat. Lori, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I don't want to put you guys on the spot, but I do have a question. I'm in a lot of meetings and they put things in the chat, and I a lot of times don't have time to write that down. How do you save that? Because I know they say that you can save that somehow. Does anyone know how to do that?
That is a very good question. I think it's the host who can save the chat. So like right now as host, when I click on my chat options, there is an option to save the chat that comes up for me. I'm not sure if that comes up for everybody though, but that would be a good thing to check in on. Is that coming up for you too, Cherry? So it does let you save the chat. Okay.
3 dots.
The 3 dots on the right there. Yeah.
Yeah, you can copy that and save it like on a separate document, but you kind of have to know you want to do that.
Okay.
So
Those
if you
3
go
dots.
to,
It saves the
Right.
whole. It saves the whole chat.
right.
Oh, yours says it saves the whole chat?
It says save chat, and I would get
Right.
this whole little conversation we're having on the chat.
That's what it gives me too. But sometimes if you're on different devices or a different version of Zoom, some of these features get a little bit wonky where different people might have slightly different features.
No fair.
I know, right? It's frustrating. But so yeah, if I were to look over at the section where let's say I'm trying to send somebody a message.
Oh.
Let's say I want to send a message to everybody. If I just keep going over to the right there, where I see what looks like a page and a happy face and then those 3 dots, if I click those 3 dots, it gives me
It
more.
says save chat. There
And
it
then
is.
up at the top, yeah, it says save chat. So then you can click that and you could save that to your computer and view it later.
Thank you. I hope I remember that the next time I need to use it. I always forget about those 3 dots.
How does it go on the computer? How does it show up?
Well,
On
let's see. Let me try to actually do it.
I'm looking for where it's saved mine to, because I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, so for me, it says chat saved. Oh, and I can't minimize and look at where it's going while I'm recording the meeting. So that's a great question where that chat got saved. It will not let me actually look that up while we're recording our meeting.
I can check it. I'll let you know.
Okay. See, this is what I love about having a smaller group today. We get to troubleshoot these things and record it for the benefit of everybody else too.
Oh, good grief. Never.
Did you just discover that you have about 700 chats saved somewhere,
Yes.
Terry?
The extension is .iChat, and there's about 1 million. I don't have, I'm working on finding out where they are. Archive.
I'll make a note to investigate that too, because if I can find a good answer, I can send that out to you all in an email later.
Yeah, and it could be different by device. It looked
Exactly.
Let's see.
This is what's nice about having different people on different devices here so that we can kind of look this stuff up.
Yeah, I can't even find save chat. I see the 3 dots, and then
So
I
if you-
get chat, meeting settings, background and filters, disconnect, raise hand, and then all the little faces, and that's all.
Ah, okay. So if you go into the chat feature, if you click on chat and make it pop up so that you're about to send a message to somebody, are you in that spot now?
Okay.
So you see where it says like 2, and then it has a drop down. Do you want to send your message to everyone or just one person?
Oh, geez.
If you,
okay.
if you look over to the right in that little section, there's another set of 3 dots. And then that's the one where save chat should pop up. We've got multiple versions of 3 dots going on in our Zoom.
I don't see it. Okay, you said go in and try to write a chat.
Yeah, so I got your chat that you just sent me. I got your hi. So
Okay,
do you see where your cursor is, where it's letting you start to type a message?
Yes.
So if you just keep kind of moving and looking over to the right, do you see what looks like a little piece of paper that's dog-eared and a smiley face and then 3 more dots?
I just see the smiley face and send.
Oh, interesting. It's giving you something else then.
Yeah.
Okay. So it might not be letting you save the chat for some reason.
When I clicked on that dog-eared, I get then different selection of Dropbox, Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive, Microsoft SharePoint. Oh, and my computer.
That's what I get too. But Kelly, you don't get the 3 dots that are in that same little area?
No. Well, okay, I went to chat, right? Go to chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and where you put in your message.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a smiley face and send.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I wonder if your version of Zoom maybe needs to be updated.
Oh, possibly.
That might be it. So what I would suggest is when we're done today, maybe try to update Zoom, because then it might give you more features. You might just be running a slightly older version of Zoom.
Okay, great.
And then
Thank you.
hopefully when you update it, it'll pop up with some fun new features. That's always the fun of the updates, right? Supposedly we get fun new features and we get glitches all handled. Okay, well, I think we've investigated about as much as we can for chat right now. I'm going to look up where exactly our chat's saved to, though. I have not saved a chat in a while. The last time I saved a chat, I think it just automatically stuck it on my desktop. But when we get into Zoom settings in a little bit here, we might be able to view some more information on that in the settings. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here now that we've all had a chance to practice sending links via the chat and using the chat a little bit more. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, awesome. Love it when it pops up right away. So let's talk in a little bit more detail about how to host your own Zoom meeting. Because, you know, a lot of us are practiced with getting into a Zoom meeting when someone else has sent us a link, That's the easy part, right? We see the link on our calendar or in our email, and we just click the little link so that we can start the Zoom meeting, and then we're in. And it's really easy when it's somebody else's meeting. But when we're starting our own meeting and we want to host our own meeting, that can be a little bit more complicated. But we want everybody to feel confident doing that, because sometimes you might want to be the host of the meeting and you might want to invite other people. So we're going to take a look at how to set up your own meeting so that you're the host, how to invite people to that meeting, and how to get it started and how to end it. And the starting and ending piece might be a little bit tricky since we're all on the Zoom meeting. So it's hard while we are all on together to actually showcase that, but we will at least be able to walk through setting it up and inviting people. So Yvonne, I'm going to stop sharing my screen
Okay.
so that you can walk through that.
Oh, righty. So I'm going to go to screen share and over to my Zoom. So here's my account, and right here at the top, it's easily schedule a meeting. So we're
And
going
Yvonne, you're just in the web browser right now, right? You just went to the Zoom website to get started.
I went to Zoom US.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, oops. And then I went to mine automatically logs in. And then I went to schedule a meeting. And so we'll schedule a cooking class. And we'll schedule it for April 1st. Just because April Fool's Day. And then we'll make it late in the day just for fun. So you can have your times 2:30. You can actually type it at 4 oops. You can do any time you want, I think. Oops. If you can type, you can do it. 4:45. There we go. And in the afternoon, I'll make that not in the morning. You can say how long you want it. If you are on free Zoom, you're limited, I think, to 45 minutes. If you have paid Zoom, you can cook for 6 hours, but we'll just leave it at an hour. And then you have your time zone. You can make this a reoccurring meeting, which is really nice. So you can reoccur it once a month, for example, is a common meeting, and repeat every month on the first day of the month. Or on a week, like if you want to do every Wednesday, the first Wednesday of the month, you could do that here. And then you can have an end date, or after you do it 12 times or 4 times. So I'm not going to set that. These settings get to be a little more. So if you want to have people register to come to your class, then you can say registration is required. So they can register once and attend all the occurrences, or register each time, and you have a place to do that. So when I'm doing my cooking class, it's just among my friends and myself, so I'm not going to require them to register. I don't actually know what template is, so we'll skip that unless we want to come back to it later.
I think it lets you load some templates in if you have a particular meeting template that you're wanting to use for this recurring meeting, but I hardly ever see people do that.
So for the security, you have to choose one of these options. So you either have to have a passcode, which you can set and let your people know what it is. You can allow people to come into the waiting room, and then you can invite them in, or you can require authentication to join. And I believe that just is that they have a link, right? Do you know that? Sign into Zoom. Okay. Oh, they have to sign into their
They have
own
to
Zoom.
actually sign into their own
Okay.
account, yeah.
Okay. And so I am going to use the waiting room. And then this is if you want everybody to be able to come on. When they come on, their videos will be on or their videos will be off. I just warn people before class that when you log on, we will be able to see you. So wear your best pajamas. And then some people are, have their audio through the phone. I don't know that that's really very common here, but anyway, I always just put both. And so we're going to go ahead and schedule this, save it. And now you can add it to your calendars. And you can start the meeting at any time. You can start it right on time, or you can start it at any time. And then this is the invitation link. So I use this a lot. So you can just copy the invitation and then send it to somebody in an email or a text message or something like that. And then all they have to do is click on that link and then they can come into your class.
And when you click that, when you click copy invitation, it pops up in its own window with all the information. And then you
Yes.
just click copy meeting invitation, and then it saves all of that temporarily, and then you can just plug it right into an email.
Yes. Ta-da! Copied to clipboard.
And then if you wanted to, you'd go to your email right now and you'd select who you want to send it to, just like any other email that you're writing. And then you just paste that right in and everybody would get the information.
Yep, right there. There's the cooking class. And then you can send it out. I'm not going to send that since we do,
Yeah, that's okay.
since I'm not really having a cooking class, just so you know.
And
This
then,
is for
so-
demonstration purposes only.
You're going to accidentally invite everyone to a cooking class. So what happens if we want to change some information on here? Is there an edit feature? Let's say
I'm
that
sure
we
there
need to
is.
do something. If you scroll down.
Oh,
I
here,
think it
show
might be-
all occurrences maybe. So if you wanted to, right there.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So-
So I can edit an individual meeting. So maybe I
Right.
need that July 1st meeting to start a little later. Maybe that one is going to start at 5:15 instead of 4:45. I can edit
Right.
just that one.
Yes, you can say this one. Boop. We'll skip, oops.
So it's pretty straightforward with the meeting setup. But the reason we wanted to really go over it in detail is there's so many little modifications and customizations that you can make, as Yvonne is showing you. There's just so many different components for setting up the meeting that you can go in and modify later on.
Yeah, but really it's pretty easy, and a thing. So sometimes if you're sending it to a person who, we'll go back to my email and write an email, and I'm going to send this to my mom. All right, so if I'm sending her a link sometimes, and I do this for my classes too, I just copy that link and then I do this. I say Zoom class, and then I highlight it and make the link, add link, and then I just paste that link in there. And I say, okay, I don't want to remove the link. Enter the internet address. Okay, that's not working how it usually does, so I must need another one. But I'll just make a link right here for the Zoom class. I don't know why that didn't work, but
And then you just
it
send that
usually
link.
does.
Yeah. So you can send that link, or you can copy and send the whole invitation.
The whole invitation. But the invitation has, oh, right there, join in the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, it
so
does
it's
always have the
easy to
link in
see
it.
right at the bottom. But sometimes all this other stuff is here, and it's like, oh my gosh, that can
Yeah,
be a little.
They have a lot of information in those links that not everybody needs. So that can be a little overwhelming sometimes, is,
Yeah.
looking through and realizing, do I need all of this information, or am I just looking for the link? Margaret, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I'm getting lost, which is no surprise. So how do you, back to emailing it, you go into what you've created, the invitation,
Yep.
and then you can copy it.
Yep. You got
And
it.
will that then take you, the next step would be going to your email, and that's where I'm getting lost. I'm not good at switching back and forth all over the place.
No, you've got it. Yeah, you click copy meeting invitation, and then it copies it to your clipboard, which is basically the kind of invisible storage space that it just temporarily rests at. And then you're going to need to minimize this whole window so that you
Okay.
can open up your email.
Okay.
Do you use Gmail? Or do you have a different email that you use?
On my desktop, no. And that's what I prefer working on.
Okay. So you would just then open your email account just like you do any time that you send someone an email.
Uh-huh.
So just the same way that you normally would. You'll go into that email account and start sending a new message to someone, probably by hitting compose, or you could choose their email address.
Uh-huh.
And then select compose or compose message, however it shows up in your email. And you can put your subject line in, and it might be sending you a Zoom link or cooking class on April 1st. And then in the body of your email message, where you would normally type your letter or just the content of your email, that's where you can just paste it in. Where you can, sometimes it's right click to paste. And then this whole meeting invitation that we just saw on the Zoom screen will show up right there in that email. And then you can click send, and it'll send it off to the person.
All right, thanks.
Of course. That's why we're here, because it's a lot of information to go over at one time. And when there's multiple windows and multiple features popping up, it's a lot.
Well, actually, so when you go to your schedule meeting, let's see, I wonder if there's, so let's just say you're having a one-time meeting at 1 o'clock, save, and then, oh, right there. It's the copy invitation is right there. So it doesn't have to be so many steps. You can just go to schedule a meeting and put the time of it that you want to have it. Like this one is 1 o'clock. And then copy the invitation. I thought there was a place where you could invite somebody just.
And in some platforms there is. Like in Google Meet there is, and if you are sending an invitation using your calendar, so, and this gets a little bit more complicated, and we might, if people are interested, go over this in a future Lunch and Learn, but you can actually invite people from your Google Calendar if you sync your Google Calendar up with the Zoom app. So if you do some syncing with the Zoom app, then your Google Calendar and Zoom are talking to each other and are friends, basically. And then you can click an event on your Google Calendar where you can schedule a meeting there, just like you would note any appointment on your Google Calendar, but where an option will come up to schedule it via Zoom, so that it's understood that Zoom is the way you're going to meet. Zoom is the platform you're using. And if you do it that way, then you can actually click on individual people whose contacts you have saved to invite them straight from your calendar. I have personally found that to be helpful in some working situations. If there are certain people that I know I really need at a meeting, one nice feature of that calendar is it will automatically send people reminders about the meeting if their Google Calendar is set up to send reminders in general. So if they have their Google Calendar set up to remind them 30 minutes before any appointment that's on there, and send them a little alert, then it will also send a little alert before that Zoom meeting as well. It's a little bit more complicated than setting up a meeting this way, but it's something that I think we could definitely go over at a future time in more detail if people like. And you know what, Yvonne, you know what maybe we should do is maybe its own video that we could actually make and put up on our YouTube page. That might be something that we can collaborate on, just really a quick little, like maybe 10-minute how to actually schedule a Zoom meeting from the calendar. We could do that, and then we could follow up by sending everybody a link to that. Because it's also one of those things that's tricky to do when we're in the meeting here, especially since I can't minimize my screen to get to any of my other stuff since I'm hosting and recording the meeting, unfortunately.
At some point, it might be helpful for people like me to know about Google Calendar.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's on our list for sure as a whole other beast that we can tackle for sure.
The reminders on that are super handy. Like if you have a busy week schedule, or if there's something that doesn't come up that often, it just is a little, 30 minutes until this meeting or this event. So I really do like that. We should do that too.
Did everybody notice with the scheduling of the meeting how you then go in and start the meeting when you're ready to hold it? Do we want to go back and show that really quickly, Yvonne? Because we've got it scheduled, but now if we want to actually start that meeting, so we're saving this meeting, and there we go. So we can go into the meeting. And you know what, Yvonne? Can you click out of that and just go to where it shows all your meetings kind of scheduled so that we can find it and click it? Is that okay? Because once you've saved that as a meeting, eventually you're going to get out of Zoom at some point and you're going to go do other things. And then you're going to want to come back in a week or whenever to actually have the meeting. So there's our cooking class meeting that we scheduled. And then there's other meetings here that Yvonne has. So if you want to actually start your meeting, you can go in here to where it says meetings on that left-hand side that's highlighted in blue. And then you can click one of these buttons that'll come up. So when you hover over that there, start pops up. And you can just click start and it will start the meeting. And then if you've got people who are in the waiting room initially, you can let them into the waiting room. They'll just kind of pop up on your screen and you can admit them. That's how you get back to the meeting and actually start it once you've scheduled it. Does that piece make sense? Okay, awesome.
The other thing you could do right here is like if you're doing, if you, this is where you find your recordings. Like when Carrie said she's recording the meeting, then they're just right here. So like I had a class today and it's scheduled, it's right there. And that if you have no matter what your account is on Zoom, you have to go in there and delete those every once in a while.
Yeah, because it fills up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again here. Get back to these PowerPoint slides for a second. Okay, it should pop up for you any second now. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so we took a look at how to set up your own Zoom meeting and invite people. Let's go ahead and we're going to go right back into that same area to look at some more of the general settings. So now that we've gone into those settings and we've looked at how to actually schedule a meeting and how to invite people, there are some other settings and preferences that you can customize in there that are really functional and some of them are really fun. So we want to take a closer look at just some of those general settings. So I'm going to stop sharing this. And Yvonne, if you don't mind going back into your settings, we're getting the opportunity to demonstrate lots of sharing our screens and then getting out of sharing our screens today. Voila, there we are. Let's take a look at some of these settings that might be useful here in Zoom. Go for it, Yvonne.
So this is the security part. So you have to have some kind of security to your rooms. And you can have a waiting room or you can have the passcode. And so this just tells you like how you're going to do it. You just turn those little buttons on and off. And here it's like everyone will go into the waiting room, or you can say what they'll see. We had a joke when I first started up the waiting room was that I needed new magazines. They're like, your magazines in the waiting room are boring. You need to get some new ones. But that lets you, so here it just like, for me, it has my logo for my work. And so you can have that. You can have a default screen. You can change what it says here. I'm going to do this and see if anybody says anything in my classes. We are waiting for the new magazines to be delivered. I'm going to save that. We'll see what happens on Monday when I have class. So we have a passcode which you can send, which you can give to people and use that. Usually those, I think they're supposed to be like computer safe, but most people just would be like, the password is cooking class 21. They don't really have high tech, because it's just like usually just a one-time or monthly meeting. And then again, this is again something if you're working more internationally and people are coming in, for people joining by phone. I don't think you get a lot of people joining Zoom by phone. Have you ever had that?
I've had a couple people join in by phone before. Unfortunately, sometimes like while they're driving and they want the audio portion, which is probably not the safest decision. Probably shouldn't be having meetings while you're driving, but some people do use the feature that way. Yeah. And Margaret, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, actually, I've seen quite a few people come in on their phone.
Oh, okay.
And also in one group, this person has really lousy internet connections, but she'll come in by both phone and video. So you have to sort of be alert for all of it. I don't much care for folks coming in by phone because you don't get to see them.
That's a really good point, though, with making sure that they're allowed to at least join by phone if they want to be able to listen to the meeting. So having that enabled, that's really helpful. Even though we can't see them, at least it lets them participate. Right.
I used to have this, but I don't have it anymore because I have the waiting room. But I used to have the passcode embedded in the invitation link so that people could they would literally just like walk right into the room. It's like the door was open, but now I probably can turn that off because that's not so anymore. Now the people have to go to the waiting room. This is so people lock in. I think this is actually more for businesses too, that if you're hosting a big webinar for people all over the United States, you want to make sure that it's safe for them to come in, that you know kind of who they are, they've registered for the meeting, and they are signing in through their own Zoom. So that's a way, that's more of a safety thing. And then here, if the waiting room is enabled, phone-only users will be placed in the waiting room, or dial-in users will be allowed to join the meeting. I let anybody join my meetings, but
But that's a good point, that it really depends on the type of meeting you're having. Because like if it was someone who, you know, had registered and paid for an event or something, and then all of a sudden they're joining by their phone and you're not so sure that it's them, it's great that there's all of these different settings. A lot of these settings you won't necessarily use all the time, but it's helpful to know where they're at and what they do in case you end up wanting to use them at some point.
right. And
So where
here,
in the settings would we go if we wanted to like change our password? Where does that pop up on here?
that might be in, maybe on your profile.
I think you're right. I think it's in there. So what do some of these settings do in here? Because I think we might use some of these a little bit more often.
This is just like my stuff, my account number and everything like that.
And there's where you save your you can select a new password if you're wanting to, I think, right under account. You might need to go down a little more. Oh, that's where you can save
That's
your
my
personal
personal
meeting
meeting,
ID,
but
yeah.
here, nope, that's sign out.
If you scroll down, is it down toward the bottom? I thought I saw it, but maybe not. Oh, there it is. Sign
There
in,
it is.
email,
Okay.
and sign in
Yes,
password.
my sign in password.
So you can change your email and you can change your password. So if you don't want this email account to be the one that's associated with your Zoom account anymore, you could put a different email
Change
account
that.
here.
Yes, and change. You can always change your password and everything like that. What's linked to it. If you want to have your calendar configured, I should do that. I don't know if I even have that, but I won't do that right now.
It's fun to just poke around with these settings too, because you're not going to hurt anything. I mean, it's, you know, it's Zoom. It's okay. If you don't like a certain setting, you can always go back and change it. But I find with the updates that they do, they oftentimes will add different features to these settings. And I'll be honest, I don't really go into settings and mess around with them too often. But when I do make it a point to just kind of spend some time in there and see what's new, there's almost always something new. There's like some extra layer of security that's featured, or there's something new with how the waiting room might work, or something else that you're able to customize. So it's kind of fun every now and then to just go in and take a look at what settings might be new, so you can see if there's anything that you're really wanting or needing.
The other thing is that they are, when they do upgrade the settings, like being in fitness, they'll come out and you can just Google it. What's the best settings for if I'm having a book club, or if I'm teaching guitar lessons online or something like that? Then people have gone in and figured out this is what you want for the best user experience. So you can do that too.
Definitely. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again here, and we can take a look at a couple of other things. We explored some of those general settings, and we talked about sharing your screen. We want to make sure everybody's really comfortable with practicing this, because I don't think we really got a chance to practice it last time. So why might you want to share your screen? You might have something on your computer like a photo or a video or some other document that you want to be able to share with people so that they're getting the view that you're getting. When you are wanting to share your screen, it might not happen automatically when you click share screen, because the host might need to give you permission to share. So that's another thing that's in those settings when you're hosting a meeting, is you can indicate whether you want people to just be able to share their screen at any time, or whether you want to actually have to give them permission to share their screen, so that you don't get people, kind of sharing things all at the same time. And when you do go in to share your screen, some different options will come up that you can click on, different windows that will pop up. And then you'll need to select which view you want your audience to have. And that's where you want to be mindful of what you choose, because one view might just give your audience, say, this PowerPoint that we're looking at. That's how I've got it set right now, where you can only see the PowerPoint. And if I were to drift away from the PowerPoint, you can't see the other things that are on my computer right now. But if you select kind of the wrong window, then your audience might get the view that you weren't wanting them to get. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And Yvonne, did you want to demonstrate how to share some stuff? I think you had a video queued up that you wanted to share. And let me double check and make sure you have permission here. Even though I already gave it to you, I'm going to double check if we're practicing sharing. Okay, so I'm clicking that multiple participants can share, just to make sure that you're able to share still, Yvonne. Okay, you should still be able to share.
Okay, just 1 second. Alrighty. So we just go down to share screen, and am I sharing? Do you see it? No.
I don't see it yet.
Okay. So I picked this little
there we go.
video. Okay.
Now we see it.
So I have this video. We're not going to watch it all. I'm just going to show you. So I am just going to use this little square and make it big, and then
when you move your body,
play,
you're not
and then
only
you
moving
have
your
some
whole body from
volume
one place to
control
another.
down
The
here
parts that make
to
up
make
your
it a
body
little
parts move,
louder
and
or a
those
little
parts move even
softer
smaller parts,
so that
making
people can
movement
hear it.
not
So
just
can
a
you hear
single
that?
body phenomenon, but
Okay.
a trillion body
And so
phenomenon.
that's just one.
Walking, for example.
It just allows you, that's a YouTube video, to do that. And then another thing that you can do is, I'm going to go to a stop share. I'm going to go to, what happened there?
Oh, now we're viewing Sherry's screen.
Oh,
Sherry
okay.
started sharing. Oh, and now you stopped sharing.
All right. So I'm going to go to, where's this? This is a music share. So if I go to share, and then I have some music here. Can you hear that? It's very quiet here. But that does not always. So you can have a whole, where's my volume here? There it is. There it is. So we have, Here Comes the Sun, because it's spring and I thought that would be good. So it's nice if you want to have some music in your background, you can do that for the whole time, and that you would do with audio, with the audio share, which is, let's see, share screen. And if you go to advanced and you go to computer audio, then you can share that.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because sometimes if you're sharing something that has sound, it won't automatically share the sound. And that's where, like Yvonne was saying, you've got to go into share your screen and click advanced sharing options and make sure that you have it selected to share your computer audio with everybody else. Otherwise,
Yes.
they might just see the picture and not hear all of the audio that you're wanting to share.
And they can have the, I mean, like, it's nice if you have, just like if you want to have like, as people are coming in, entry or exit music, you can do that.
I like that. We're gonna have to start doing that with our lunch and learns. We're gonna have to have some little intro music.
Yes, and here's this last thing is the oops. Where's my share screen? I just didn't choose the thing. It comes up with some options that you really can't see. But if you're doing something and you want to have a group effort to do something, you can be like, let's set the agenda. And then other people can, you can use this, you can have little stamps. We'll give it a little star.
So you're using the whiteboard feature now, right?
Yes, yes. You can draw on that any kind of a way. So if you're very artistic and you want to, or even if you just work better with a way to have this right whiteboard, then you can put things up on there. Is another way to do presentations and things like that. You can get rid of all of that stuff too, using your select or your erase, and just erase that all and start again. Easy peasy. And I noticed on my, like, different devices have different things. Here it tells you what everything does, but when I was on my iPad, it didn't tell you where everything was.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to guess, what does this do? What does that do? But it's just, those are the three kind of main things. Is you can use the whiteboard, you can use the music, audio, and the video, which are all things that people, would be sharing from time to time.
And it's fun. It can really add to your meetings too, to just be able to share things on your screen. No one wants
Yes.
to just hear people talk the whole time.
Well, especially like the video clips are nice and, can add some fun to your meetings. You can have joke ones.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. So we wanted to chat a little bit about what Zoom is best for, because there are some activities that might be great to engage in via Zoom. There are others that might be a little more challenging, where Zoom is not the ideal platform. And so you'll want to just be mindful of whether Zoom is the most feasible and the best platform for the kind of gathering that you're having. For instance, during COVID, we had some people who wanted to get together with their family members on Zoom and share a meal, which sounds really nice in theory, like the idea of, hey, we're all going to gather around the Zoom and we're going to be able to have mealtime together. But then when you're actually doing it, it's a lot of watching people put food in their faces and people kind of talking over each other at one time. So depending on how many people you're having in that gathering, Zoom might not be best for that type of gathering. But for, say, a book club meeting that you want to have online, it can be a wonderful platform for something like that, where people are going to take turns talking and sharing information, and where you're really able to kind of have that turn taking and have that back and forth be a little bit more structured. Any other examples that anyone wants to give of, activities that are really great for Zoom, activities that are not so great for Zoom that you've experienced?
Well, I definitely agree with not having Thanksgiving dinner over Zoom, because we tried that last year and it felt silly, kind of. So don't do that. But it's nice sometimes if you're working with somebody and you want to share a Word document screen, you and your friend can just sit there and type in corrections, and then the job is done. And that's really nice.
That's a great use for it. Absolutely. And that's where it's so time saving too, because, as opposed to needing to get in your car, go to your friend's house, which it can be lovely to do, but it's not always feasible. Maybe you've only got an hour gap in your day and you don't want to spend the 20 minutes driving there and then have just 20 minutes to sit down and work on something and then 20 minutes to drive to your next thing. You can get online via Zoom and you can do that work together via Zoom and really maximize the use of your time. Margaret, you've got your hand up.
I find it very sensible for short meetings. Or one of the PAFC groups, the Culture of Aging, that runs an hour. And, you know, it doesn't make sense for all of us jump in the car and head in different directions, let alone finding a place to meet. Plus, it's environmentally good. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's, yeah, the human touch is good, but you got to be practical too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And some people will use a hybrid format too. I mean, maybe there are some people who are able to meet in person for something, and there are others who can't and need to join via Zoom. So that's where it can kind of be a nice supplemental platform for gathering.
It is, but that's the one I've found tricky. We've been using it a lot for the Office on Aging Advisory Council, and I suspect we will continue to have that. It does mean the potential for getting folks on who are living in remote parts of the county, but it is really, it's tricky. My sister is saying that one of the things when if she has a large group, she'll appoint somebody to be watching that hybrid screen to
That's a
make
good
sure that
idea.
it's not ignored.
Right. Yeah. So you've got two audiences, so it can be tricky. Like if I was trying to have this meeting right now with everybody online here and also with other people in the room, you know, it can be really tricky depending on the topic that you're discussing, the size of your audience, and the noise level too. If all of these people over here, there's nobody over here, but just for example, if all of these people over here are trying to chat while we're trying to have this conversation, it can feel a little bit out of sync. So that's where it's good to be mindful, you know, is a hybrid meeting really feasible for your audience and for that topic, or should you kind of commit to one or the other? We've really experienced that in PAFC too, where we've tried to have some hybrid meetings, and where ultimately we decided, okay, well, for this meeting, let's just do Zoom, because otherwise you get kind of that competition in the environment where you can't have your attention in too many places at once, for sure. So we want, in our last few minutes here, and boy, we really did use this whole hour, but we really want to hear about what you're hoping to use Zoom for, and if there are specific aspects of Zoom that you would like us to review in more detail in the future. So like Margaret, you mentioned diving into the Google Calendar and showing not only how Google Calendar works. I mean, that could be its own, you know, lunch and learn on itself, but also showing how it syncs with Zoom, that kind of thing. I think that would be really helpful in the future. Are there any other topics specifically that are Zoom related that would be helpful to everybody?
I think one thing it says, what are you hoping to use Zoom for? One nice thing is that if you know somebody that's interested in being on a Zoom meeting, not even hosting it, but just joining it for the first time, you could invite them just to your room, and you could just have a one-on-one meeting and then let them look around the room, like, you know, checking out, oh, how do I chat? So that there's a time for them to figure that out without feeling like uncomfortable with trying it, like during a class or during a presentation, but, you know, just a one-on-one of, hey, look, we can do a chat. Oh, this is how, you know, you can raise your hand or do something like that. So that's a nice thing just to kind of help acquaint somebody that that is interested in just letting them in the Zoom room and look around.
Definitely. And we found that to be really helpful, like in our Tech Buddies program, when we're working one-on-one with people. And while most of that has taken place in person, there have been some situations where we've been able to follow up with people online and just have that one-on-one component where we can kind of patiently go through things and try things out. I think that's really, really helpful to people.
Well, and I don't know if this is more for this forum or if it's more for the Tech Buddies, but the differences between devices is really interesting. And as Cherry knows, I struggle with this stuff, but I manage more or less. But when the pandemic first hit, well, my desktop wasn't equipped. Couldn't find a webcam for love nor money, so I ended up getting a tablet. Well, tablets all fine and good, but you can only see 4 people at one time, or at least that's true of my tablet. And fortunately, I did find a webcam, although the tablet's perfectly fine. I did a webinar 2 hours earlier this week, and that was handy. I could sort of move all around the house, cook dinner.
Yeah. That's nice. This
So-
is so portable. Yeah.
Yeah, and if people have somewhere having that information about the pros and cons of certain devices or quirks would be helpful to those of us who didn't grow up teething on a laptop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I can assure you, you are not alone in the struggle between devices. I have that same struggle all the time, especially when all of this technology is continuously updating.
Mhm.
And just when I've gotten the hang of, okay, here's what I can do on my small laptop, then there'll be some kind of an update or an upgrade where all of a sudden the capability, changes with different programs. Just when I think I've got the hang of everything on my phone, apps will update and things will change. I mean, for instance, my Wells Fargo app, it updated recently, and they made some changes to how the entire application looks. And I hate all the changes. I hate going on there and navigating it. I'm just not a fan of the new features, and it's taking me some time to get used to. But I think, yeah, as much information and help as we can provide to people across devices, I think that there's always going to be a need for that. I wish that these devices synced up a little bit better. I wish that the makers of these devices would realize sometimes we've got people jumping from one device to another. It's hard to remember exactly how to maneuver, especially when it's all changing. And I think that's a piece that we may always find challenging because it's just always changing. But I agree, as much guidance as we can help provide with that, there is no amount that's too much. Going to go ahead and stop sharing. Cherry, did you have a question? I thought I saw your hand up. You're muted. You're saying goodbye. You're saying goodbye. Okay.
I gotta
you
go.
for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you so much, Cherry. We've gotten some really good ideas from everybody and from a few emails that we've received as well for future things to go over via Zoom. So thank you for all your good input. And thanks for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Take care. Bye, Carrie.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.